the biggest thing, not working in corporate America anymore. You think they're like, okay, well, creating your business, like it's automatically perfect, but it's not.
Mhm.
Like you have to find the right environment, the right culture, the right vibe, and honestly, the right purpose.
Mhm.
Because like there's a million ways to make money, but like if it doesn't feed your soul, like I just rather roll a block over and go to bed.
We're good to go.
Alrighty, well, welcome back to Thursday Thoughts, where information is power, and we bring you all of that information. And I have not had to say my script in 5 months, and so welcome back. Tonight, I am glad to have access to with me Rubelin Chu and Dre James. And I'm really excited to talk to you about their work and the work they're doing in the community and how they've majorly pivoted and been a bonus to the collective. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
Can't
Good.
complain. Can't complain. Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Anytime, anytime. Tell the folks who you are, Rubelin.
Yes. So I'm Ruben, co-founder of Access. So what Access 2 is actually a sourcing, staffing, recruiting firm that specializes in the diversity and inclusion space. Prior to COVID being hit with our whole organization, we were actually a whole event planning company, and this whole past 2020 have been all planned out, and then COVID hit. So we had an event like every quarter planned already, or at least every other month that was already planned. But COVID hit, and we have pivoted all of our events all online. And since then, it was actually a blessing in disguise because we are also part of the Young Professionals of Seattle group. Um, with that said, I will let Dre take it away and go more in depth of our whole partnership that had happened with Young Professionals of Seattle, as well as Access to, and our whole our partnership with Federal Way Black Collective.
The
So
best part.
yes.
Thank you, Rubelin. To give a kind of a brief overview of what and who YP Community is it's a digital and physical platform designed to help young professionals connect, through virtual experiences, in person or online. Uh, One of the main missions that we are trying to, embody is creating community. Um, I think that everybody during this COVID has had to have some sort of virtual shift, um, as us. And as Ruben explained to you that before COVID hit, we were a whole event planning company. We were actually scheduled out for about a year, with events that
Yeah.
we wanted to get done, and boom, you have to adapt and you have to adjust. You have to learn on the fly, and so really, YP communities and access to is about that shift. It's about being adaptable. It's about taking that adaptability and that virtual community and creating a space for, minorities and people of color to thrive. Um, just to kind of give you a background of how Access to started, I myself am a veteran. I joined the military at 19 years old. I believe about 8 or 9 months after 9/11. So my military experience was a little bit different than a lot of people because it was go, go, go. Train, 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 go to Fort Polk, go to Fort Irwin, Fort Jackson, Fort Lee, and then go to Iraq. I spent about a year in Iraq. One of my main dreams was always to play football. So, I did the military thing, went to Iraq, ended up having to get out the army because I was sick. Um, I found out after I got out the military, and I had high blood pressure in the military. So they were giving me medicine to kind of manage that in the military, but obviously it wasn't working because I ended up collapsing once I walked onto the football team at Eastern Washington University with advanced kidney disease. Um, yeah, that kind of changed my whole trajectory of life. I went from, being in shape in the military to being in shape for football to bam, losing 40 pounds in a week.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
crazy.
meant dialysis from 2009 till about 2014. I sat on dialysis about 4 hours a day, 3 times a week. That's a part-time job, really. And then recovery time is no joke. So to everybody else, that sounds like a sad stop story, but to a veteran, that sounds like normalcy. That's actually pretty common to a vet to hear a story like that. So um, I think after everything I went through, as far as losing friends in Iraq, coming back from there, having my dream ripped away from me to play football, to having to, sit on dialysis for 4 years, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was sit down after all that and look at a resume. Uh,
Mhm.
Mhm.
really, corporate don't care about your sad stop story. They don't really care, about the things that you've went through, or the places that you think you're going to go. There is a, what can you do for me? What have you done for me lately kind of society.
So
Um,
pivoting is just your thing.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And
So
so, I mean,
go ahead.
that's what happened. I was just gonna say that's how we all created, I think, the bond when he and I met about a year and a half ago now. Was that I'm like, hey, this is what I'm also very passionate about is being able to uplift others, specifically people of color and women of color that can be in leadership roles and be in executive seats in the C-suite levels because you don't see many of yourself, Lynn, myself, in those levels of jobs. So I think when he told me about what his vision was, and I was like, let's do it. And I like to play sports also because I went to Gonzaga, so that's a basketball school. So I think, and I mean, I'm a big sports fan and everything, and I was like, well, how do we make this work? And has he we he and I we just work together very well. He's more of the visionary kind of type of guy where I'm like, yo, we need to get you back down here and figure out how we can execute this A to Z. And my background's in operations, but I also have a hardware engineering background in management and data center and all that stuff. So I was like, how do we get this to work? And our other business partner who's not here at the moment. I met him also Twitter. I talk about social media and all online things of how everyone's interconnected somehow. He and I
Mhm.
first met on Twitter first, and then we met up later on and was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. He's like, let's make it work then kind of thing. And I introduced him to Dre. And those two just got along right away. And how I say it is that I have two Geminis on my team and me being the Sagittarius. So figuring out
I'll
how to
keep you in the
make this.
prayers.
Huh?
I said we'll keep you in our prayers.
But I mean, so far, the journey of us three making this work has definitely made it in our favor. Being all online all the time rather than being in person. It makes it easier and being able to reach everybody, I think, outside of Washington State made it easier to navigate and figure out the whole journey and making sure everyone has that same um, fair chance trying to get something, go somewhere in life,
So that's a
so.
huge leap. So most of your work used to be in person. You guys were booked a year out with everything completely virtual. What type of content can people expect from you and can they find from you?
Yeah.
You want to go through it?
Go
Go ahead,
ahead.
Rube. Oh, okay, I got it. I
Yeah.
got it. So as we said before, we're predicated on building communities. So we host things like happy hours. We do panel discussions. We host a show called Technical Talks, where in light of the Access event, the pre-COVID event that we did, quickly just a couple of years ago, we had a tournament where we invited 20 teams to come out. kind of one of the niches that Access has is thinking of innovative ways to connect minorities to resources and hiring and decision makers. So with that being said, we had the Access event, invited 20 teams to come out, offered $1,000 grand prize, so the community thought it was a really highly competitive basketball tournament. Leading up to that tournament, we set the standard of, hey, it will behoove you to bring a resume. It might be a good idea to update your LinkedIn. When the Hoopers showed up, they weren't surrounded by a normal crowd of people. They were surrounded by tech companies such as DocuSign, Microsoft, Google, Pace, even unions. Even R3 was there, an apprenticeship program. Really, a lot
Yes.
of companies there to USPS. Really, over 30 different industries were there surrounding the court. A lot of them hiring on the spot. And Access's job really was to be that connection. We weren't going to wait for you to go up and talk to people. We were going to go find you. Hey, what are you doing? What, like, are you working right now? Or do you like your job? You know, oh, you want to be a police officer? Let me hand walk you right over here to the police officers. They're looking for people like you who are interested. And sometimes, you know, as a minority, that simple connection is all you need. You know, because we've been, gentrified and bias, and the bias has been set upon our hiring processes that we don't really see these pathways and don't really see the networks that are already built. You know, I'll speak specifically about my community, Seattle. Seattle has a whole network of entities built for young professionals to come in and receive resources and receive edification when it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to STEM education, et cetera, et cetera. Access's job is really to connect and be that bridge between that community and the South End. That's one of our main missions, which will lead us into our partnership with Federal Way Black Collective. I don't know.
My favorite part.
Yeah. Do you want to go in depth a little bit with that, Lynn, of how we got into our partnership and exactly how?
Well,
Hey.
I don't remember how I met you, crazy kids, but we've been at this a while. And what I like most is that pre-COVID, we wanted to find a great way to highlight and bring employment opportunities to the community. The Black Collective, we're not really a direct service provider, but we like to do business to business services. So our partnership with you was really important because we knew that it would bring really high quality jobs to the community. We weren't seeking like entry level work. We were seeking like career specific partnerships. And that's something that you guys are really strong in. And so we were like, how do we provide this now virtually? So obviously, I believe I'm the queen of Thursday nights. But you guys have definitely brought me some steep competition with technical talks and bringing in some large names and had me tuning in to find out some things that I normally don't care about, that is sports. So I think it's been amazing, and I'm excited to see how we merge and grow the community for our communities.
Absolutely. So, I'm really excited about one of the events that will be presenting with Federal Way Black Collective, which is the Health and Wellness Mondays.
Yes.
We did an episode last week that really, really opened my eye. When we started the episode, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew I was there to learn, but I didn't know I was going to be, ready with notepad. And afterwards, I'm doing research. Me and him have connected and really spoken every day since then.
Mr. White is super smart.
Yep. He has actually taught me so much, especially due to my own health conditions. So I'm really excited to have Federal Way Black Collective kind of go on that health journey with me, having advanced kidney disease and learning with Mr. White every single week, kind of like in a edification classroom setting for me. I want people to take my experience and not look at me as like, oh, he's disabled, or he has advanced kidney disease, but learn from it. I didn't detect high blood pressure, at an early age. No, it wasn't drinking. No, it wasn't smoking. It was simply just high blood pressure that killed my kidneys. That's it. So,
and that's rampant in our communities. And when you look at the fact that like Dow Constantine just said like racism is a public health crisis, but that starts in those things that you're mentioning, because If you were properly connected to a primary health care provider, you felt secure in communicating with that provider, you would know exactly how serious it was to monitor your high blood pressure and to keep that under control. And even just access to resources that would explain that information to you, and spaces where you can have conversations. Like I do see locally, right? We've got the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance. They have like these communities for cancer patients to talk, communities for their families to talk, support groups and things like that. I welcome the opportunity for this to become something like that, not necessarily for a particular condition, but just for the Black community and Black, Indigenous, and people of color in general to focus and begin to know that they should foster these same conversations, like the conversations I have on my couch in my living room. I hope you're having those socially distanced, of course, in your living rooms.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of highlight how we teach. Kind of becoming innovative in the way we're passing along information to the people behind us. I think overwhelming them with an abundance of, eat your vitamins, drink water, this, that, and the third, without breaking down the actual science and telling them why, and receiving the questions when they say, oh, why is that? But I do this. Why can't I just do this? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Actually, when you think about it.
I think it's pretty special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have other shows that you're producing too, though, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rube.
Oh, yeah. So Wednesdays, second Wednesdays of every month is the Hot Seat series, which is where we take executives or local executives or influencers like in the decision-making seat or entrepreneurs that have a huge influence and talk about mentorship. Mentorship is huge, right? I think me being in the place where I am now has helped me elevate where I am without I wouldn't be able to do it without my mentors because, I'm a first generation college graduate. My parents have immigrated here from the Philippines maybe about 40 years now. And my brother and I are the first ones to graduate. Yes. So, I mean, we're fortunate enough to have that, but, it was, they didn't understand the whole education system. That's a different conversation. But the whole education system here and leaving what they had back there in the Philippines and coming here was a totally different atmosphere. And so I had to navigate that through my own experience and figuring out how to get to one place to another. And luckily, my teachers back then, how I was thinking were how it is networks here is how I was thinking back then, back in starting middle school. I was like, oh, this teacher is not going to let me in unless my counselor signs it. But my counselor says no. But of course, I'm going to go straight to my teacher, go straight to the source first and go navigate through. And the people are going to say yes of who I'm going to talk to first before talking to other people. So, I mean, that's how it's always been, right? And I think it has helped me in that sense here because I have been surrounded with a lot of people that own their businesses or are in their C-suite level and in executive seat, and they've been gracious enough to give me their time, their wisdom, and their whole experience, and that forever is what I'm grateful for. And that for me is something I'm very passionate about, is because without that or a support system, it's very lonely to get to the top. And then, I think, yeah. And so talking about community and building it's something that's near and dear to my heart because I've seen it. I've seen being on the top and it's lonely as hell. And you have some success and it's not fun if you're not with your people.
Man, I think that is like the biggest thing. Not working in corporate America anymore. You think that like, okay, well, creating your business, like it's automatically perfect, but it's not. Like you have to find the right environment, the right culture, the right vibe, and honestly, the right purpose. Because like there's a million ways to make money, but like if it doesn't feed your soul, like I just rather roll a block over and go to bed. No, I'm just being honest. Like, I think that that's a major piece of what when you really start to find your niche, you find what's working for you and your tribe that you can really be in that space of growth with. Like, I'm learning the importance of having mentors and learning the importance of, growing relationships and accountability partners and like the difference in friendships. Like, it's not just like, there are the friends that are like my son's aunts, uncles, whatever, but then there's the friends that like may never meet my kid, but equally as dear to my heart with how they pour into my life.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly it. And I think I've learned that now because Dre gives me crap because he's like, "Oh, you're a superstar." I was like, "No, I'm not." I was like, I call these people acquaintances. Like I'm like you mentioned a good point. Um, there aren't layers of friendships that we have in our lives and stuff, and I'm okay with just having one or two or even three at most that's very close to me, and the rest that may see me like, yeah, oh yeah, I know this person, I know this one, but it's all the surface part of it. And I think as we experience more life, you find out what is actually meaningful to you and what works for you and what you hold very dear to your heart. And I've learned that last year and the year before, and yeah, Dre
Rubelin
me
be
crap.
faking. She's a superstar. She's faking. I've been with Rubelin in the middle of a work day, and she'll say something random like, "Yeah, I spoke with Kevin Hart 2 days ago." I'm like, "What? Like, what? When did that happen?" Like, oh, just so casual about it. But one thing I appreciate about Rubelin is the fact that it doesn't matter what you throw at her. As far as whether it be my crazy Gemini disorganization all over the place, visionary type of ideas, or something simple as, hey, Rubelin, we need to get in contact with this person. Like it doesn't really matter. Rubelin's always been solid from day one. So I do appreciate that about her. One thing she's not gonna give herself is praise. So I will give her that right now.
Hey, you gotta give people their roses and their flowers while they're here.
That's it.
Okay.
I
And I
think that's
think
really important to have that dynamic.
yeah, and you spoke to it very clearly, Lynn, when you're like you got to find your tribe and your purpose. And for me, I've been very fortunate at a young age. I kind of had that inkling feeling already what I wanted to do and find myself, and I just had to have the courage to pursue it. And it took a long time. I had to go to nursing school to finally tell my parents. I was like, yo, I'm not going to be a nurse. And that's where I was at Gonzaga. I got into nursing school at Gonzaga, and it was not for me. I appreciate that experience though, because one, I was able to meet a lot of people outside of Washington State that I'm still in touch with now. And so when I travel, I don't have to get a hotel or anything.
And I imagine all the other good connections. But speaking on that, it sounds like that's a lot of what you guys do because
Mhm.
connecting people to finding their purpose, figuring out how to uniquely, and I think it took me a long time. And then I've kind of had career change phases. Like Dre, I am medically retired. Um, and so coming to terms with that, restarting your life, like moving that around, that can be a huge shift. It's like having like a midlife crisis.
Mhm.
Um, and finding where you fit. But I think it's really cool to be able to help people find their place, be able to find what makes them go. So often, especially like in the age of social media, I see people get on these trains of like, oh, this is easy to start. When they're looking for what they want to do in business, oh, it only costs $50 to start. Or, it's only like one class, you got a whole store. Like that is a great way to earn income, but that's not necessarily a way to find your passion. And it sounds like
Mhm.
even though out of all of those opportunities that someone may find online, what they find specifically with Access is the way to find their passion.
Well, really, that sometimes that passion finds you. Sometimes it's the other way around. Going back to the Access event, um, you know, people had a great reaction to it. When they showed up, they didn't really, I mean, I think they just expected a basketball tournament, but we actually partnered with Communities and Schools of Renton and made sure that they had a block party going at the same time. So there was a backpack drive, there was a clothing drive, there was school supplies. I mean, we had the whole shebang out there. But really, one of the things that when I say sometimes that purpose impacts or finds you is about 3 weeks later after the event. A good friend of ours, Alex James, shout out to the Big Shipper out there in Centralia, 360. He delivers, I think he drives delivery. He delivers for some, I'm not going to say that company's name, but he was on his route one day and a lady, he said, when he was in the middle of his route, ran up to him. He's like, "Oh my God, you're that guy! You're that guy!" And he's looking at her like, "I don't know, lady. Like, what are you talking about?" Because he actually ran our tournament. He was the one who, was there running our tournament during the whole time of the career fair. She was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And he was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, I have been applying for jobs over and over and over
Wow.
your event. And I now have 3 interviews this week.
Wow.
She wasn't even there to play basketball. She just came to watch. There was 17 people that showed up that day that some of them didn't even show up to play basketball. 14 people were sourced into jobs, whether it was, I think it was 14 into tech, 3 more into UPS, or 3 more into, no, 14 into UPS, 3 more into, sorry.
Into tech, yeah.
So just making that connection right there, that's when you say, oh, we got something. That's when you're bouncing around the room like this is what it's for. That moment right there is what makes it worth it. You know what I mean? So
and that's hard because even since I feel like the financial collapse 2008, we're kind of just getting to a good place. And now we've got COVID. So we're back in this reactionary response when people are having there's so few jobs compared to the amount of people out of work. And so since there's, the supply and demand chain works differently. So you got to get your resume right, make sure you're showing up appropriately in the interviews, as far as on point. And I think that's something you guys help with as well, right?
Absolutely. Ruben, you want to go over the happy hour we're going to be introduced.
Yeah. So, with the young professionals of Seattle, we host once a month, the last Tuesdays of the month, we have a career room, which we're in, as well as a representative from another company. From any company, they come into the room, they talk about their opportunities with the company that they're with, but they also answer questions about anything about the job wise, the job market, what specifics they are looking for in their candidates. So that career room is with us, but we also have a coach in there. We have a career coach in there as well. So it's like, yes, you're registering for an event, going either to the career room or the current event, but each room serves a purpose. There's someone who will be facilitating each room, and it's a great way to, I guess, meet people outside of just the social media channels that we are always on consistently. But once you register, you're able to connect with other people that are either in the same, I guess, interest of what you're looking for, or if you're looking for a specific job or anything, then you can go ahead and go into the career room, and you really are with a group of people in each room and being able to connect virtually that way. I think, I think that's what I've been in the past year. I'd say we've been hosting once a month.
That's cool.
So really the essence of the career room. So when we have our YP happy hours, we always meet, kind of meet in the middle, and then we have our breakout rooms, which is the career room. We have a game room. We have a current events room. If I'm missing one, correct me, Ruben. I think I'm missing one room.
Just a networking, general networking room.
Networking in general room. So when you enter the career room, the great thing about our career coach, who has given us so much, of her time, shout out to Stephanie, thank you so much, is that it isn't for you to go in there and think that you got to soak up so much information and be on your best behavior. We don't want to, put you in an interview type situation, because sometimes there will be decision makers in there. You may not necessarily be interested in that specific job, but you'll have an executive in specific positions of power and decision making, that are decision makers, give you advice on what they look for in a candidate, in an individual, in an interview, on a resume. This is real hands-on experience, not in a interview setting where you can ask all the questions you want and don't feel like you have to get docked for it, like a real interview. And we also have a career coach that's there as well, that's giving you all the pointers, all the details about that industry. How, if you're just starting, or if you're even just looking to be interested in that, how to get started. And then, like I said, shout out to Stephanie. She's even willing to give you a free 30 minutes of consultation after the event for everybody that comes to the career room. So, I mean, you can't lose. I mean, if you come to the career room, you can expect to be edified. And that's really one of the, goals of YP communities and access.
Man, I definitely want to make sure we get to share that stuff with you guys. So we're going to make sure that we share their links when they have events coming up, because we want to make sure that you guys have those opportunities. But I do want to respect you guys' time, because we are at 10 o'clock. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to remind you guys, as Dre and Rubelin mentioned, on Mondays, we have Health and Wellness Mondays with Alfred White. As always, we have Thursday Thoughts. They have a Wednesday.
Shout out to thank you for the there she goes.
Teddy Riley.
Teddy Riley.
Out here, I was in a zone.
He was in the
zone. Wednesday. So is that what you're saying? You said Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so next Wednesday is the hot seat series with Pro Dev Academy here. Once we are done here, we can go ahead and give more information on that, where to register and what to expect on there in that show there. I will give that all to Lynn, and we'll have it all on the Federal Way Black Collective website.
Well, we can't wait to have you guys tune in with us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.